Okay, so I'm talking about thyroid function and metabolism today. And most people, when they hear metabolism, they might think of, metabolism boosting diets, maybe even just the idea of someone having a really fast metabolism, someone having a really slow metabolism, and all of those images that are conjured up when we think, oh, okay, what is this? What does it actually really mean? What is a metabolism? So, thyroid function and our metabolic rate are intricately related, and the thyroid function in general, the thyroid gland right in the center, sort of in the center of the throat, is sort of the master of it all. Metabolism refers to the sum of all of the chemical reactions in the body, and it's sort of a measurement of the activity of our cells and their ability to utilize and make energy so that we can live our human lives and think and repair and just function. So, why the heck does this matter? Let's sort of back it up a second and talk about the idea of having a fast metabolism. We might think of someone with that's very lean, that's very fit. Maybe they're slender, or we think of the 16-year-old boy that can eat massive piles of food and still maintain this kind of athletic looking body. We can also think of that childlike metabolism where someone's really high energy, they're creative, they're open to experimenting, they're very able to play and explore. All of these are very desirable characteristics, but we don't really take the time to back up and think about what is leading to this kind of vibrant level of health. So, when a metabolism is high and functioning well, that is essentially showing us that the thyroid and the liver are also functioning well, and the communication between those two, the gland and the organ, is doing wonderful things. So, when it's high, we experience good health. That might be rapid recovery, high energy, regulated and higher body temperatures, a normal and regular pulse. We see regular digestion and bowel movements, fertility, balanced sleep, the ability to focus, that playfulness again, and just overall happiness. When your metabolic rate is well and running smoothly, you feel good. The body doesn't lie. Conversely, a slow metabolism is a decrease in the rate of the chemical reactions and an inefficient use of fuel, which means we're not really making the needed energy. The cells are struggling to produce what they can, but we feel it. We feel that kind of low, slow fatigue, that kind of couch lock feeling again. We might feel anxiety, we might feel cold all the time, low pulse. This is where things like constipation kick in, bloating, and then infection, gut issues. We might start to see infertility, hair loss, anxiety, depression, muscle wasting, thinning skin. All of these issues are related to early decline and premature aging. This is not what we want to experience, especially in our youth. I get people reaching out to me and they're in their early 20s or even 16 or 17, and they're already experiencing symptoms of decline. So this is worth thinking about if we want to live a life that is not only long but is full of energy so that we can do the things that matter. Anyways, I'll rein myself in and get back to business. So your metabolism and your metabolic rate, it's more than just how you look. It's really how your cells are functioning. And I like to think about the fire analogy and the image of a robust rolling campfire, and you throw a log on it and it uses that log for fuel, and the flames roar and it's just that high energy state versus slow burning coals where there's just slow energy production. It's trying to conserve energy. Maybe a wind comes and the coals flicker for a second, but for the most part it's trying to conserve the little wood that it has left, and it's going to burn low and slow, maybe for a while, but not in that high energy state. I wouldn't want to cook a ribeye over these coals unless maybe they were really robust. But anyways, so How does eating boost your metabolism? It comes back again to the liver. The liver requires fuel and glucose specifically to function. And the brain actually needs a continual supply of fuel to keep functioning because it doesn't have its own stores. It's requiring the metabolism of the rest of the body to have a continual supply of fuel to work. Otherwise, it sort of goes into hibernation mode. And without a continual supply of glucose, as in starvation, that's when the brain will start to pull on other sources of fuel like ketones, but it's not going to do this in an ideal and an efficient state where it has what it needs to function. And I love the idea of the brain as being this very energy consuming organ, because if we think about it, it's using about 120 grams a day of glucose, which equates to around 420 calories, and that's even in a resting state, which I think is amazing. We forget that. Literally just resting, maybe relaxing on the beach, our brain still needs fuel. And in essence, our liver still needs fuel to make sure our brain is getting what it needs, so it doesn't have to break down our own tissues to get what it needs. So how does this all relate to your health? A fast metabolism is basically your cells functioning well. It means they have a fast turnover, very active cells. This is important in terms of regeneration and in terms of our immune response and energy production in general. We want our immune system to be working efficiently so that if foreign invaders do come in, or say we eat something, we want the cells to be able to handle that before it becomes a systemic issue. And even just thinking about gut function, we want the turnover to be rapid to repair the gut lining so that things are not leaking into our bloodstream and causing autoimmune diseases and just reactions in general when foreign protein molecules leak into our blood, and even just waste products in general. Those should not be in the bloodstream. When the gut lining is nice and tight and those junctions are vital, everything is going to work better. An inflamed gut means an inflamed system, but a happy, well-functioning gut means that the rest of our body can work better, especially our brain. So, how does thyroid function and liver health play into this whole beautiful picture I'm painting? It really goes back to addressing the foundation and going back to the root causes when things are imbalanced. The metabolic activities of the liver are essential for providing fuel to the brain, muscle, and other peripheral organs in our body. So we really have to honor the liver. We have to love our liver and make sure it's getting what it needs. And it seems to do well with a continual supply of glucose to store glycogen and basically have the power to do what needs to get done. And thyroid conversion, so inactive T4 to active T3, that happens in the liver. This conversion is happening in the liver in the presence of glucose. Another reason why being well fueled just helps everything continue rumbling along in a more smooth manner. So more about the importance of the thyroid. The thyroid is arguably one of the most important glands in the body. I'm sure the other glands might argue, but if you think about as the body's under stress and things are starting to shut down, the thyroid is really governing that metabolic rate. So it's essential for a strong metabolism and for production of energy, and it actually activates the metabolism of the liver. So it's having that kind of conversational flow back and forth. We need both for sure, but we really need to make sure our thyroid is sending signals of turnover and vitality and function. So the thyroid itself is controlling the production of anti-stress hormones and steroid hormones in general, which are essential, again, to not only mounting that stress response, but mounting that kind of fertile, low-stress, repair, smooth digestion, balancing effect in the body. So also bile production happens in the liver under the influence of thyroid hormones. And why is bile production important? Many reasons, but the few I'll talk about today are just bile helps us break down these fat-soluble vitamins and absorb them in general. So vitamins A, D, E, and K, these are essential for the functioning of, again, the thyroid and just the cell's balance in general. So it's sort of like this chicken or the egg kind of situation. We need everything in balance to work smoothly. And stored glycogen in the liver basically keeps hypoglycemia or low blood sugar at bay. And this requires adequate thyroid hormone. And again, going back to the conversion, we need adequate thyroid hormone, but we also need continual conversion to keep the system robust. Thyroid, in addition to stimulating the production of bile, it's also stimulating the production of digestive enzymes and their release. So hydrochloric acid, but also the digestive enzymes that are released in the mouth and released all along the small intestine. If we have a sluggish liver and a sluggish thyroid or impaired thyroid conversion, we have disruptions in our digestive system, leading to infection, leading to immune dysfunction, since but the majority of our immune system is housed in our gut, our lovely gut. And that's when we see things like autoimmune diseases start to crop up, when we really start to degrade our immune system, and also autotoxemia, when the gut is so impaired and things start to leak into the bloodstream, and it's basically sending these very inflammatory reactive oxygen species straight to the brain. The liver doesn't have time to break them down and render them harmless, so these free radicals are basically damaging the most sensitive tissues. So that means our thymus gland, which means more decline of our immune system. That means our ovaries or our gonads. Whatever is rendered or deemed unessential, those will be the first tissues to go, which again is not ideal. We don't want to be losing our hair in our 20s because our body has too much stress and has labeled this a non-essential function. So moving on. Back to just the overall idea of our metabolic rate. Why is this important? Why do I care? Why does this matter? Why am I taking the time to make this video? Hypothyroidism seems to be impacting so many people, even people that might even consider themselves to be healthy. And I'm thinking of the classic, marathon runner or long distance runner who has the really slow pulse. And doctors might even congratulate this person for being so healthy. And there's maybe a few studies linking it to longer lifespan or longevity in general, but these don't seem to be repeatable. And if you ask the person who's in that really hypothyroid kind of hibernation state, they might not feel the best. So yeah, their doctor might be telling them that they'll live longer, but what is a life where you have such low energy and you don't have the creativity and your hair's maybe falling out, maybe you're infertile, maybe you haven't had a menstrual cycle in 6 years? Yes, you might live longer, I'm not sure, but the quality of life too definitely matters. And if we can have a high quality of life with a robust metabolic rate and have fertility and have high energy and feel warm and have an appetite, I'd go for that for sure. So back to the idea of why someone might be hypothyroid. Stress of all causes is going to cause this, but even just the most basic stressors of deficiencies in carbohydrates, protein, building blocks like magnesium. I'm always talking about magnesium, calcium, and the B vitamins in general might be slowing down the metabolism because, again, the liver doesn't have what it needs. Thyroid hormones are not being converted, and the body really does just enter this kind of hibernation, conserve resources state. So not ideal long term, not ideal short term, just because of that feeling. Anyone that knows what it feels like to just not have enough energy to do what needs to get done, that is a stressor in and of itself. We want to know that what we set our minds to, we can do, and we can do with this kind of gusto. So how can we support the thyroid and metabolism? Well, we want to support the liver. How do we support the liver? We want to make sure we're keeping blood sugar balanced, because anytime blood sugar drops, that sets off this stress response throughout the body. Adrenaline is going to surge in order to release glycogen from our muscles, from our tissues, so that we can have the fuel, or the liver can have the fuel to get back to work. We don't want that to be the case. We don't want to have to engage the adrenals in order to get fuel, when we can simply eat throughout the day, eat regularly every 2 to 3 hours, balanced meals of carbohydrates and protein, so that we have the building blocks and the necessary nutrients to function well. In addition to keeping blood sugar balanced and just enjoying our food and eating in a calm state, we really want to get to the root cause. If we have hypothyroidism, if we have a really low metabolism, and you might be dealing with some of these issues of just fatigue and infertility and just feeling cold all the time and just that, constant low immune function. Maybe you're constantly getting sick, or your immune system is so suppressed that you're not even getting sick, but you just feel lousy. It's worth looking into what might be underneath this all and, really starting to gather your own data. So 2 simple techniques would be to start tracking your temperature. Ideally, your temperature should be about 97.6 and then closer to 98.6. If you're a woman in your luteal phase, it's going to raise during ovulation. Also, tracking your pulse. While, again, a lot of runners and endurance athletes might have a pulse of like 45 or 50, that's not what I'm thinking of in terms of a robust metabolic rate. I'm thinking more of, somewhere between 70 and 90. And again, coming back to that childlike, robust metabolism where you have energy and you're ready to play and you're thinking creatively and you eat something and it digests smoothly. You're waking up, you're having bowel movements every morning and ideally after every meal. These are all indicators of kind of the vitality and this resiliency that is just a beautiful product of a well-functioning liver and a well-functioning thyroid and the interaction that happens between the two. So feel free to reach out with questions. I hope this was helpful. I am always happy to talk about this. This is, just one of my profound passions in life right now. And if I truly believe that the more people can really feel well and feel energized and really honor supporting their body, the better everyone will feel as well. So thanks for listening.